Hello, Amity City. The few of you who are up at 3 a.m. So I guess nurses, strippers, cops, and anyone else unlucky enough to work a night shift. If anyone's here from last night, I thank you for tuning in again. Tonight I figured I'd talk about something that's been on my mind lately. Normally, when you think of cities and ghosts together, you probably picture some college student with a sign leading a bunch of tourists down the street to the sites of several murders for $30 a person. There's nothing wrong with that hustle, but this city is home to 6.4 million people, and if you ask a random person on the street, the chances are that they at least believe they've seen a ghost at one point or another. So, today we're talking about one of the haunted spots in the city that a tour guide won't show you, my theories on who might haunt it, and my own experiences. But first, someone asked why I do this show, and there's so much unseen in a city like this. So that's why I do this, for those whose needs go unaccounted for. So, let's get into it. This city is old. Definitely not as old as some of the ones in some older nations, but the Commonwealth States of Fredonia is turning 300 years old this year. We were founded during the Age of Revolutions in 930 post-discovery. The discovery obviously being the ancient vault of stuff hit... Never mind. This isn't important. This city has a lot of places that are called haunted. Over the years, people have probably accused every single building of containing an evil spirit or something like that. However, as someone who grew up in the city, I can tell you the names of 5 buildings off the top of my head that are certainly home to something. My personal experience with a spooky building is in Hatbridge, where I live. The mid-century modern brownstones and short apartment buildings are seen as idyllic by most movies that take place in the city, so people are often confused when I mention that there are a few buildings around that are pretty unsettling. In the northern part of the borough, on Alicent and Greenwaite, there's this really old apartment building. It's about 4 stories and was built in 1187, so the tie-dye and early stages of the war on drugs. The lobby is painted this putrid green that was pretty clearly once a nicer shade, but age has taken its pound of flesh. The story goes that in 1192, a college student at Amity Public College named J. Hollis had just moved into an apartment on the 4th floor. Everyone said Jay seemed entirely okay, kind and helpful. They would even cook for everybody else on their floor once a month. Jay was found dead in their apartment, stabbed. No one really had any answers, and the ACPD failed to find a killer. And now, that apartment is vacant. Over the years, multiple tenants have moved in, but most break their lease after a few weeks. They tend to report this strong smell, which, in my investigation, smelled a lot like the drug known as leaves. That kind of metallic smell, like copper or blood. When I went to the 4th floor apartment, it was 2 a.m. The smell started to rise from the floors about 22 minutes later. I sat on the floor and just waited for something to happen. It was freezing cold. I could see my breath, and every exhale escaped my mouth and traveled only a few inches before hitting something. The fog from my breath outlined a face inches from mine. I reached out to touch it, but the air got so cold it started to hurt around my fingertips. I wanted to pull my hand away, but touching the cold spot triggered a memory in the back of my head. It was like the thought was dragged from the back of a closet. I remembered going to the library on my college campus, laughing with an ex of mine about the name of a book, Loners and Leafers. When I try to think about it now, it's blue. Not emotionally. The footage of the memory has been cast in this ghoulish cyan light, and the lines are blurry. But at the moment, it felt so pertinent and present that I just sat there, holding a cold nothing as my memories played like an indie film at a party. Let's start ads. Redonia Motors of Westbridge is starting their biggest sale of the year on SUVs, sedans, and trucks. This month, with 2.9% APR financing, you can bring home a patriotic titan like the RM Helio or the Goliath, our finest truck yet. Stop in today. I've never actually owned a car, so... Just in time for winter, Abundance Digital Retail is rolling out a brand new interface so that you can shop for all your winter needs. Ice scrapers, heavy jackets, and even hot cocoa. With lower prices than you'll find in most in-person retailers, you should trust Abundance with all of your shopping needs. And to guarantee that your purchases get to you safely, we're training a host of new winter delivery drivers. Note, winter drivers might not be available in all cities. Let's get some music going. Frida Moran just dropped a new album, and I happen to... there it is. This is Find Me by Frida Moran. So, after leaving the apartment, I went to go see a friend. To be entirely honest, she's kind of odd. She works at the gas station on the corner of Oza and Rot, and she's got this like goth zero affectation thing going on. She's always talking to someone who isn't in the room. One time I asked who she was talking to, and she just said, Tony. I then tripped over a can of Faust Energy, bought a pack of Redonian Ghosts, and left. I smoke the yellow packs, by the way. Oh, our first caller. Hello, caller. You are on 87.7 Amity After Dark.
Really bold of you to call yourself my friend, Claire.
Wow, okay. Dissed and had my real name dropped on air in like 10 seconds. Thanks, Luce. Yeah, my name is Claire. Claire, in case you need to know. Anyways, Luce, the gas station lady, pointed me to a medium who lives in Westbridge. Hidden in the skyscrapers and lights was a small door in an alley. Her name was Jean Schuyler, and she was kind of the real deal. Her shop was a mess, dimly lit with clothes and takeaway boxes scattered around. She told me that ghosts inhabit a plane of reality that kind of pushes through ours. She called it the sunless place, and told me that it's made of the memories of all who had died and all who were living, meaning old buildings exist inside new ones, and the geometry can change by the hour. She described it like always being on the wrong train, going the wrong way, to the worst part of town. I asked her how I could help a ghost move on, unhaunt a house, you know? And she told me that unfinished business is really not a part of the equation once a ghost gets left behind. Then she told me all I can really do is summon a god to eat the ghost, or call the god of death's attention to the place so he can escort the ghost to the afterlife. She gave me a piece of paper detailing rituals to do the latter thing, and I left. I had hoped to never see the crazy medium again, and I resigned myself to assume she was just conning me for free. I still don't know what she meant. Summoning a god feels like an absolute nonsense phrase, and the god of death felt just as weird. I grew up solitarian, like a lot of middle-class Redonians with first-generation parents, so most of those words just sounded wrong to me. I'm not religious anymore, but it can be hard to scrub the scripts off your brain, I guess. I did some digging, wandered those dingy forums that haven't been updated or quality checked in the last 20 years. Occultist pages, medium forums, psychic forums. Half of it was wild conjecture and nonsensical phrasing, paired with a link to buy some hacks books. The ritual Jean gave me kept showing up, deep in forums, on strange sites and surrounded by stranger words, so I decided to try it. The ritual required 2 people, though, so I went back to the gas station and begged my not-friend Luce to help me out. After about a week of begging and promising to trade her my special event Digicot in Monstology. Has anyone played the new game yet? I'm getting off track. She agreed to come help me. We do have to do some ads real quick. We'll get back to the story soon. Tuner has some big news. Now you can send messages on your favorite music app. With the recent limit on public playlists being lowered to 200, you can now send private playlists from within the app itself. No more sharing windows or sending links via text. Tuner, have a listen. Why would you advertise a music streaming app on the radio? And who has more than 200 playlists? Shepherds! This week only, come in and get a bucket of drumsticks to help us deal with the surplus on legs. If you forget dinner this week, make sure to swing into a Shepherd's to clean up some loose ends, and for only $13.50, get an entire bucket of deep-fried signature chicken legs. We're also announcing a partnership with Enera, so come get a large Enera soda on us. Shepherd's, tie up some loose ends. Honestly, a bucket of chicken legs sounds so good right now. I wonder why they have a surplus on legs and not, like, thighs or something. Drumsticks are the best part anyways, though. Anyways, this next song is a personal favorite of mine. 7:30 by Cottontail. I wonder if I can snack chaser Shepherd's chicken. I don't have the money for delivery right now, though. So, let's forget my rumbling stomach and get hungry for ghosts. Wow, that was dorky even for me. So, Luce and I went back to the apartment. It was still cold. After a few minutes, the smell came back. We set out a few of those tall church candles and started connecting them with strings of red yarn, but the air got colder. My memories started to rush in my head. Thoughts of my first kiss, the first time I got drunk, and the last time I got drunk. It felt like a brain freeze. I started hyperventilating. I stumbled into the middle of the room and curled up on the floor. I could hear Luce talking, but it sounded like ice cracking and shattering. I know now that she was chanting, some dumb chants from the paper I got from the medium. When I looked at Luce, her eyes were fixated on something next to me, but I couldn't see it. Suddenly, the room got so warm, bright. I looked around and saw vintage furniture. The walls were a strange orange color with different walls flickering and dancing on top of them, White brick covered in pictures, empty. Outside the window, I could see the sky was a pale, dead white. I saw a young person cooking something in their kitchen. The air behind them was dancing, like heat off of pavement in the summer. They turned around and smiled, but their face sank and they grabbed their stomach. They fell to the floor, clutching their abdomen as tears ran down their face. I could feel it, every inch of pain forcing its way through my stomach, tearing and ripping at the muscle like a beast in a cage. My eyes never left those of the young person who lay bleeding out beside me 50 years in the past. When I came to, maybe 3 hours later, the apartment was warm, a typical summer night in the city. Luce was sitting next to me, talking to something, but when I sat up, she stopped. She told me the ghost had gone. Someone came to get it. I spent the next few weeks digging, talking to anyone who knew Jay Hollis. Jay died while cooking dinner for the people of their apartment building, standing at the stove. I also learned that Jay had a boyfriend. The people I asked about it told me that Jay's boyfriend was a bit of a hothead, a drug addict, a leaf addict specifically. After Jay died, no one saw him again. I know the medium told me that unfinished business does not determine the fate of a ghost, and I know that it's been a year since the apartment had reported any strangeness. But for Jay, if you're out there, Liam Walton, I know what you did. Anyone who's listening tonight knows what you did. I hope wherever Jay's soul goes is warmer than where it was. There are a lot of haunted places in our city. If what I felt interacting with Jay was anything to go off of, no one deserves that. So, if you know of anywhere that feels similar to that, let me know. I'm okay being an amateur ghost hunter if it means that no one has to be in a world like that. That's all the time I have for tonight. Good morning, Amity City. Go get some coffee. It's gonna be a long day.
Amity After Dark is a narrative horror fiction podcast by Livewire Multimedia Stories. Claire White is voiced by Gwen Fullman. The character of Luce is voiced by S.L. Written by Gwen Fullman. Co-executive produced by Gwen Fullman and Elizabeth Fullman, with music by Gwen Fullman. If you enjoyed what you just listened to, please consider contributing to our Patreon. If you would like updates on this project or any of our other projects, come follow us on Instagram at Livewire Multimedia, on Tumblr at Livewire Media, or subscribe to us on YouTube at Livewire Multimedia Stories. Thank you for listening.